and a good day to you, faithful listeners. My name is Ibrahim Diallo, and this is part 10 of how to build a website from scratch. This video is not gonna be as complicated as the ones before. I decided to take a step back and do what we did in the beginning and start by writing a blog post, because we only have 2 blog posts and it felt like it was a little empty. I decided I should write something and upload that into our blog post. So we have a total of 3 posts, and then we'll also have an About Us page. This is something we always have to remind ourselves. The main goal of this website is the content. We are creating some framework and writing some code, and all this is nice. But at the end of the day, all we want to do is display our content. And the point of having this application is to make it easier to publish content. So like right now, we still gonna follow this procedure we did in the beginning, writing using my text editor. And once we're done with that, we'll upload it to the database. And from there, we can see it on the page. It's basically traditional, like very simple, traditionally simple. I mean, we have something like WordPress that has a very complex admin, and hopefully we'll be able to do this with our framework too, but it's not necessary. For example, on my website currently, idiallo.com, I do have an admin section, but it's fairly simple, but I still use this method to upload my data. I open the text editor, like an empty text editor, a distraction-free text editor, and then start writing the content. Just should try to write something down, and once I'm done, even when I'm doing my research, they all go directly into my text editor. And once I'm done with that, I take it to the what's it called? Like a fancier text editor, like Microsoft Word or whatever other program you have. Try to make sure the spelling is correct, and look at different formatting, how it looks like. And when it's done, I go to my website, my admin section, and just upload it there. It's still kind of the same procedure. It's still simple. If I was using WordPress, I would still use the same method. So we have to remember that. Like, try to use whatever method you feel comfortable with while writing. And at the end of the day, you just give it to the application. The application does whatever it does. Like right now, with our current framework, we will just open the database using MySQL Workbench. You could easily do it with the command line, but we don't have to struggle with that. So yeah, we're gonna use MySQL Workbench and just save it the same way we did in the previous video on part 9. And in this little post, I decided to talk a little bit about our application. I think you saw that already, talking about the router, the controller, and the response. That's the main things our application does. And also I talk about the different jobs available when we're building this website, because this website is separated in 3 parts. One part is the framework, the second part is the application, the third part is writing content. And each of those can be done by a different person. For example, I worked in some companies where each of those were done different. Like, for example, when we used Symfony. Symfony is a third-party tool. It's open source, but it's still someone else that handles it. And us as developers, we were hired to create an application on Symfony. And our job wasn't to change Symfony. We didn't add any features or do anything like that, even though there was a bug that I had to go and fix, like try to create workarounds and all that from Symfony. But it happens. But mainly we didn't touch the core of the framework. Sometimes, like when there's a newer version, we just upload just the core, and our application is left unchanged. And at the end of the day, there's some people who add content to the websites, and they have different roles too. We communicate with them. They ask us like for features to make their job easier, and we do that for them. And that was it, really. The rest is up to us to create a robust application. Of course, there's also the business part, but main thing is those 3 jobs: the framework, the application, and the content. And at the end of the day, even if we weren't there, these guys, they could still use something like WordPress. It'll be very complex, but they could, like, download a bunch of plugins and all that, because there were some website that we purchased, and that's what it was. It was just some guy that didn't really know what he was doing, but his website was doing money, getting a lot of money. He used a bunch of WordPress plugins, and it worked for him. I mean, of course, when you want to optimize and all, you need to have a programmer, but it can work for an individual. He can just use WordPress to do whatever he wants. And that's why I say you really have to focus on your content and forget about the tools. I've seen a lot of popular people on that do some amazing things, whether it's videos on YouTube or music and all that, and they don't even have a website. So it's to tell you that the website itself is not the most important part. The important part is your whatever media, whatever content you have to show your users, the art you create or whatever it is, you have to focus on that mostly. The technology, you just pay someone and they can do it. In our case, we're the people getting paid to build that framework and the application. So yeah, it's a good way to see this process too. I mean, I've been scouring the web a little bit, and I've seen a few tutorials. I'm not gonna say that mine is the best, but to tell the truth, there's very little like fully detailed solutions available out there. You can see someone show you like how to build like part of this part here, that part there, but never the full thing. And I thought I should fill up this gap by showing you the whole process of creating an entire website, from the framework to the application and everything. Yeah. Anyway, here I finished writing the article, and I'm gonna start doing the same process as before, like try to take the title, uh, add my HTML tags, because we still, like, as of now, we're still using HTML to write our content. We put those p tags, which are called paragraphs. We put the paragraphs in there, or headers, which are h1, h2, and so on. We do that ourselves. It's I'm hoping in the near future I'll be able to add different things, like something like Markdown, because I really think Markdown is the best markup language available out there. You write in Markdown, and it just completes everything for you. You don't have to worry about learning HTML or anything like that. I mean, I say learning because, most of the time the person that writes the post does not care about HTML and all that. You just want to write your content, and you don't want to be fiddling with h2 tags and forgetting to close a tag and so on. So yeah, it's a great idea to use something like Markdown. Anybody can just understand it. It's fairly easy. So yeah, I completed that now. I'm gonna save it into our database, put the current date, and if I know what the date is, it's today. I'm recording today. Okay, and once I refresh the page, we have the new post, creating a framework, and I put a few images there and the rest of the application. Looks good. Oh yeah, I forgot to include the title in the article pages. So yeah, make sure that that is that. I can use those slots that I made available before. This set slots, and it just you set title, and then it automatically adjusted. Anyway, there's another thing I talked about a lot but forgot to do. Never did it. It was the error handling. Um, there's, like, as a user, you don't really care when you hit a page that has an error, for example, a page that does not exist. But as a developer, you have to take care of those. Like, you have to make sure you send the right headers. When you have a 404, like a page not found, make sure you send a 404, because, that way if a script is accessing your page, it knows this page does not exist. And that's important if you're, for example, if Google is trying to scrape your website to display it on their search engine, you have to make sure that all your headers are correct so they know where to go. For example, I make sure I have 404s, 500s. If I happen to have a 301, which I'll make in the future, I will make sure I also send a 301. 301 means this page is permanently redirected to whatever destination I give. Yeah, and 500, also make sure it's an error. So here's the thing. Sometimes when you have an error, and if you're using something like automatic webmaster tools, it can tell you, oh, listen, you have an error in this page, why don't you go and check it out? So it's kind of helpful. Sometimes I randomly see some pages that are just not working on my website. So yeah, anyway, I wrote the errors, and I'm gonna try to test it right now. I'm just gonna create that about us page and throw an arrow over there and see how it looks like. Also, I'm gonna add this what do you call, stack tracing. So that way, when you get an error somewhere, it doesn't just say, hey, you have an error in your controller, but it will give you all the steps, what it went through to get to that error. For example, it says, I went to index.php first, and from there I called the application, and for application I called router, and from router, things went wrong. I want to add that. I hesitated a lot if I should make this a separate function, because I do reuse it on every single one. And it kind of made my error stack a little longer, but anyway, it doesn't matter. This should be good. So yeah, I used the default exception class that exists with PHP and just called the method called getString. I forget how it's called. Anyway, you can read it. Get trace as string. Yeah. Just print that, and I'll show you an example right now. There you go. So that's kind of useful. Yeah, make sure it tells you exactly where your error is, and you can move on with your life. It makes your life easier. Okay, now we have errors. We can make it more robust in the future, but for now that's enough. I'm gonna make sure I create that about us page and just about that HTML.php, and then take it from the previous post we had before, copy that there, and hopefully I won't forget to add a title also. Like you can see in every single function inside the controller, I do the same thing: set title, render, and then vars if I need them. Sometimes if I don't pass vars, but since it's not required, but the way I set up my application, I have to pass two variables, two elements inside the array. One is the render, and the other is the content. Even if content is empty, I just pass it an empty array. Good practice for my own framework. It's not necessary, but it helps. I could easily add an error handler somewhere, but yeah, this works for me. There you go. We have an about us page now, and the links work. Oh, also, I want to make sure when I'm on the about us page that the about link is selected, and if I'm home, the home link is selected. Not necessary, but a useful feature, just to let the user know where they are exactly. And yeah, I remember previously I removed this piece of code here from our previous blog because I copy and pasted it, but now I'm gonna bring it back and make it more interesting. Make sure it works here. By the way, this video is gonna be short, and that's all really I'm gonna be doing here in order to not confuse people and to make it easier to digest and to follow up. I've been thinking about this because my videos are at least 20 minutes long. This one is gonna be probably 15, but yeah, I want to make sure that I'm not confusing people, and hopefully you can give me feedbacks if I'm talking too fast or things like that, because when you're not really good at those things, you talk too fast. You're thinking fast. That's why you always hear me say because I'm talking too fast. I'm gonna try to slow down, but yeah, anyway, feedback is always welcome. That's it. We have our application page, our about us page, we have a home page, we have our article page, and this makes a good blog already. We have something going on. All we need now is to have an admin for a simpler way to add content to the page. And that way, because here we're working directly from my machine, but if we upload it to a server, it'll be nice to be able to access the admin page from anywhere, from your mobile phone, from anywhere basically. And that's gonna be the next step, hopefully. All right, that's it for today. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video and that it was helpful to you. We created a few things to make our life easier. We added another blog post because our website was becoming empty, and we had such a big robust framework, and then all it does is show 2 pages. So I'll try to add more and more as time goes by. So thank you for watching. Hopefully you'll subscribe. Hopefully you will subscribe and hit that thumbs up button to let me know you like it. Thank you for watching, and you will see me next time. All right, bye.